Well, hello and welcome back to the Mariner. It's water, but not as we normally have to deal with it. A little bit more frozen here than normal. I'm just in my house here in Nova Scotia, just going out to do what I do every evening. Today I've got a few extra jobs. I'm going to have to go around and knock all the excess snow off the trees and things. The garden where I live, the house, the people that lived here before us, the Watsons, they were here for 50 years and they made a beautiful garden here. It's got all sorts of incredible trees, 40-foot high magnolia trees and azaleas and huge rhododendrons, and it's absolutely glorious. But when it comes to the winter, the snow starts to get on the branches like this, and if you don't give it a shake and let it go back up, you end up with all the branches broken. So why am I getting into this with you? Well, what I have to do every evening, not that it's normally this snowy, I might say, but I have to go down and check on the boat, because the boat's still in the water. Look at this. It is glorious here. Such a beautiful part of the world. So I was hoping to use one of the new toys I've got myself, which is one of those gimbaling things that you put the camera on, or the phone on, let's be honest. But I'm going to work up to that. It seems it's a little bit more complicated than just attaching the phone to it and then moving the thing around. You have to do like settings and Bluetooth this and that and all the rest of it. So we've got about, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches of snow here. It's just fallen today. And so, don't look at me, I'll talk and you can have a look at where I'm walking, because it's absolutely beautiful. So 7 or 8 inches of snow coming down. I am a little bit nervous because we've got the Arctic vortex here. If you haven't been listening to the podcast, shame on you. But I was actually going through what the Arctic vortex is all about in one of the recent ones. And this area of cold wind and cold atmosphere which spins around at the top of the planet to the north of us, if it gets destabilized, then it starts to swoop down somewhat further south and starts to bring these very cold conditions to areas which wouldn't necessarily normally be affected by them. So this is what we've come for. I have to come down every night and check the temperature of the water, because as you can probably guess, having an open 60 sitting at the bottom of the gun is great, but if it gets frozen in, it ain't going to be so great. So, oh my goodness, I have to. You can see on top of the posts here how much has dropped. It's literally dropped that in 5 hours. So I won't be going out to the boat because I've kind of made myself a rule that in conditions like this, I don't attempt to board the vessel. It's going to be dangerous. It's slippery. There's no real need. So what we've got here now, we're just getting this patches. Most of this is broken up ice from last night and this morning. I came down here about 10 in the morning and look at, you see the change in the contrast or the white balance or something when it sees me as opposed to seeing all of that snow. So it's like bleached out behind me. How can we balance that out? I came down this morning and it was like a gentle, very thin sort of sheet of ice out here. The boat was still moving around. What I had done is I got the boat connected by its stern to the mooring, which might sound a bit odd, but this boat is 6 meters across on the back of it. So with that wide angle coming down to the mooring, it's a lot more stable. And last night it was blowing 25-30 knots down here. That was the beginning of this Arctic vortex for me. So the boat was sitting the other way around on the mooring, and when it does that, it stays exactly heading into the breeze and it doesn't shear around any. The boat is very close to the land, as we know. You can see where the posts are here, where the dock is connected in the summer. So I didn't want the boat shearing around too much in the breeze. But then when I came down this morning, I realized, okay, now ice is starting to form. So I changed her around, back around to a more kind of traditional method of doing it. And we can see here now that she's got the mooring at the bow. It's all connected on by 4 or 5 lines at the front there, just distributing the load. Bear in mind, it's a race boat. It doesn't have any capstans, windlasses. it doesn't have any cleats, it doesn't have any Samsung posts, so it's connected to all sorts of different parts of the deck hardware on the bow there. So now she's able to move around a bit with the breeze, and then she keeps the area where she is free from ice. So I come down here every night. Good Lord, I gotta like dig it out. But here, this is actually it's a pool thermometer. Normally, I imagine it's probably it's probably recording temperatures that are in the pluses. But let's drop it in the water. As always, when I'm doing these videos, I'm trying to do everything single-handed, getting ready for. Now, look, see, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? Look, you're trying to get it in through the ice, but that really is just the surface. What I'm trying to do is work out what is the temperature of the water beneath. So that was relatively smooth. Okay, so I've got my head torch on so I can read this thing. It is reading basically 0. Just going to clean up the sides of it there a little bit. There we go. You can just see there where the reading's at. I'm not sure with the parallax, but it's reading about 0 Celsius. So that doesn't actually mean that it's just about to freeze. Let me just get rid of my head torch for a second. Okay, so it's reading 0 on there, which obviously if it was fresh water, it was going to freeze about that point. But this is actually seawater, of course, and it needs to go down to about minus 1.5, minus 1.8 Celsius before it's going to freeze. So we've got a little bit of time yet, but I can see around the boat, it's a bit of a mix of snow and actual the water freezing itself, but it is starting to thicken up there a little bit. I've lived here now for 3 years, and I've never seen it freeze down here more than just, you know, a couple of millimeters thick on the surface. However, 7 years ago, this was quite a well-known ice yachting area. So let's hope that the Arctic vortex is not too much of a problem. But this is where we're at the moment. Obviously, I was about to go and do the West Around the World challenge. That was the big idea that we were working on through the summer, through the autumn of 2020. We got down to the point where the boat is actually 100% ready, apart from the rigging. The good news today, the reason I'm making this video, even though it's a bit of a funny one, is that I have got the money for the rigging. So we now are going to be moving into the next phase of this. There wasn't much to say really until now. Spartan is starting to get going now though. This project with the boat, with the Pro Nova Scotia, is going to start getting going now. And the first job will be to get the mast out of the boat, take off the synthetic rigging, and then send that to France. I'm looking for some other quotes elsewhere to see if there's somewhere else in North America I can send the rigging. But they'll rebuild the rigging, and then we can put it back in, and we can put the mast back in, all of which can be done in whatever temperature it is. Obviously, I'd love to paint the mast and do things like that, but I'm not too worried right now. But in terms of getting her functional, getting on the water, today is the day where the money hit my account. It's not just promises, it's reality. So I'm going to be able to make the phone call tomorrow morning, book the boat in to have the mast lifted out, and we can start to get these Mariner videos going again. So thank you to everybody who has been writing to me saying, hey, when are they going to start again? What are you doing? And thank you so much to the people that gave me the contacts, gave me the impetus, and actually brought the money together for me, which has been amazing. So it's time now to make sure nothing bad happens here. I'm sure the engine is all ready to go. If it starts to look like it's really going to freeze, there's a reason I come down here morning and night to check the water temperatures. If it starts to dip below 0, I will move the boat into deeper water. It's about 40 foot deep below the boat as it sits there now. Even though it's so close to the dock, it's still 40 foot deep. The specific heat capacity of the water is such that it shouldn't freeze solid. It may freeze a little bit, but it won't freeze anyway, a kind of amount that we need to damage the boat. So I'm looking forward to be able to take you back on the boat. We'll get the videos going. Still got some work to do on the electronics, just really tidying things up. We're going to make some alterations to that comms dome, which is on the back. We're actually not going to remove it. We've come up with a very clever plan, which is going to incorporate what's there, so we're not just throwing things away willy-nilly. Use what we've got to our advantage, and we're going to have a bit of fun with it as well. We've got all the paints done, the branding's done. We won't need to lift the boat out before she becomes operational, but I say we'll get the rig off. We've got the mainsail that needs to go back on when it's time. We've got some rope work to do. So that's all coming up. So from a very cold Nova Scotia and a very odd sailing video, hello and welcome to 2021. hopefully good times are ahead of us. Certainly whatever's going on in your area, I will bring you some very positive, very upbeat new sailing videos in the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months, and you'll be able to see this boat get onto the water and get sailing very, very soon. If you haven't picked it up already, have a look for the podcast. The podcast is also called The Mariner. It is available everywhere that you might get podcasts, in Spotify, Google, and Apple. And we're up to about episode 33, 34, something like that now. Lots of interesting things going on there. Seamanship, a few interviews, but not too much. I got a lot of advice from people saying, don't do too many interviews. There's lots of sailing podcasts that do all that already. So it's seamanship, it's learning. We're reading some interesting seamanship books, and hopefully something that can help get you through this period where there's not really very much sailing for anybody. Between COVID and the winter, the Northern Hemisphere is a bit locked down right now, but good times are coming. So wherever you are, stay safe, and we're back with more videos soon. Cheers.